Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for the segment, we have Will Landers, Head of Latin America Equities at BTG Pactual, to discuss Latin America investing trends with a focus on biotech. Will, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks, Jill. It's good to be here.
Latin American equities had another challenging year in 2021. What can we expect for 2022?
Yeah, LatAm in dollar terms was down about 13.5%. Led by Brazil, which was down over 18% in dollar terms, which is the local market plus the currency that was also devalued. It was another tough year. There was a lot of politics, a lot of elections that went on. Chile and Peru had elections that were not market friendly. Towards the end of the year, Brazil was in big discussions about the budget and whether they were going to maintain the fiscal discipline that we saw this year. And they already started to price in next year's election, which was going to be a big one. So all this noise, all this political noise caused, I think, local international investors to not be that interested. And meanwhile, local investors that had been driving local investments started to take money out of equities as local central banks were among the first to increase rates during 2021. So when we look at 2022, I think most of the hiking cycles for these central banks is done. There's going to be a little bit more, but we already have the big heavy lifting behind us. We do have one big election in Brazil coming up in October. I think that's going to be determinant. Brazil is too big for Latin America to work if Brazil's not working, and I think that's the big question.
So what are the preferred markets within Latin America for 2022?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to be a contrarian here and say that Brazil is my preferred market. It's been priced down a lot. It's barely present in global mandates. Global emerging markets investors are mostly neutral at about 5% of their portfolios, which is an all-time low. Brazil is trading at 8 times next year's earnings, which is more than a standard deviation below the last 10 years average. And like I said, the election is going to be the big thing. And I think that the front runner right now, which is former President Lula, I think has everything in his interest to make sure that Brazil goes in the right direction. And for that to happen, he would have to keep the good economic policies and give continuity to that. So that's why I think that people are concerned about that, and rightfully so. But my feeling is that if Lula does win the election, eventually it'll be a positive for the market. So take advantage of these low valuations at this point.
How does the biotech offering fit into BTG's plans?
Yeah, so there aren't a lot of biotech offerings or biotech companies listed in Latin America. So BTG has a partnership with Nasdaq to bring some of these innovative products to our clients in Brazil, especially, but also in other parts of Latin America. We have one of the fastest growing digital platforms in Brazil, the BTG Pactual Digital. So with that, as part of my mandate is to bring new products. So in discussing with the folks at Nasdaq, we decided that the Biotech Index was one that was very interesting and one that wasn't available for local investors at this point. So that's one of the 2 offerings that we're making to clients at this point. And there's more that's going to be coming over the next 2 quarters.
How did you view the latest rebalancing for the Biotech Index?
It was interesting. I mean, you went to 373 companies. If you think about this index, started in 93 with only 75. So it expanded quite a bit. Last year alone, there were 54 IPOs that were included in this index. So you bring a lot of innovation, a lot of new companies bringing in the latest technology, the latest minds, greatest minds in terms of what are they investing in. Obviously, with the Omicron variant now very prominent in everybody's minds, investing in the companies that are helping us to get over that, I think makes a lot of sense. But keep it in mind that still the top 10 companies in the index make up almost 50% of the index. So the big ones like Moderna and companies like that are still heavyweights in this index. So it gives you access to the ones that are winning, but gives you also all these little ones that who knows who's the next one going to be. So I think having a well-diversified portfolio in that regards makes a lot of sense.
Right, and you do like contrarian plays, as you mentioned with Brazil. And that said, the biotech index underperformed the comp in 2021. Do you think that could potentially change?
Yeah, I'm not an expert on biotech, but I do think that looking at the valuations, looking at the valuation comparisons of biotech versus regular tech, sure, the FANG stocks are going to should continue to do well. They have a big, strong position from a competitive standpoint. But a lot of these biotech companies do as well, and they're making investments in things that we're all going to need, and who knows how many vaccines we're going to need, and what's next in the biotech world. So I think having access and having exposure to this sector makes a lot of sense. And given that valuations are discounted versus this history, I think it also makes a lot of sense.
All right. Well, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Sure.